All right, so how do we determine the long-term trend? Now, before we learn how to determine it, we have to kind of focus on what exactly is a trend. And to be honest, it's tough to specifically define. It's very dependent on the time frame. There's a lot of different ways you can define it, but the simplest way is higher highs and higher lows in an uptrend and lower highs and lower lows in a downtrend. Let me get this pointer out here. So to illustrate higher highs, higher lows. So if we're in an uptrend, you'll see something like this. And here are your higher highs, and here are your higher lows. And it's the opposite in a downtrend. Here are your lower lows and your lower highs. Okay, so that's the most basic way to determine or define a trend. Now, why is the trend important? Well, successful global macro trading relies on staying with the long-term trend because no one's bigger than the market. And you can easily get run over if you fight the long-term trend. And that will lead you going broke very, very quickly. It's almost a cliche at this point, but the trend is your friend. So how macro ops defines trends, we feel this is a very robust way to do it. We look at the slope of the 200-day simple moving average. If that 200-day moving average is upsloping, it means we're in an uptrend. If it's sideways, it means we're not in any trend, we're range bound. If it's downsloping, it means we're in a downtrend. So you can confirm the trend is taking place by making sure if the MA is upsloping, we're doing new highs. And if the MA is downsloping, we're making new lows. All right, if new highs or new lows are not being made, then you're in a range. Okay, and I'm gonna cut over to a charting platform to go in more detail to show you guys what I just talked about here. Okay, so here's a graph of the SPX, S&P 500 index. And what you can see here is the price in black and the 200-day moving average is this thick blue line. Okay, so a very robust way to identify trend is simply look at the slope of the 200-day moving average. Is it downsloping like this, or is it upsloping? All right, and something's upsloping on the 200-day MA, it's considered an uptrend. Sideways is a range-bound market, and downsloping is a downtrend or a bear market. So you can see here, right now, this is in between a bear market and range-bound market. So since this has been downsloping slightly since the top, we'd consider SPX to be in a downtrend. I'm going to a couple more examples here to kind of crystallize this. See, here's the emerging market index. Upslope on the MA indicates an uptrend. Here's more of a range-bound MA, a 200-day MA that's been moving sideways. And then finally, we've recently gotten a 200-day MA that has been downsloping, indicating a downtrend. All right, so if you really focus in on the slope of the MA, it can ground you and hold you in the direction of the predominant long-term trend. Price is going to oscillate a lot around this 200-day MA, and it could fake you out a lot. But if you constantly look at the 200-day MA and the slope of that, it will make sure that you stay grounded in the direction and confident in the direction of the long-term trend.